You're about to see Halloween party decorating in a whole new way. After this video, you'll never look at your space the same again. Could this be the year your party becomes the one everyone talks about? Here's the deal. Halloween is theater. People walk into your space expecting to feel something. Creeped out, enchanted, amused, or uneasy. You're not just putting up cobwebs and plastic bones for fun. You're building a mood, a vibe, an experience. And the easiest way to do that is by telling a story. So today we're taking a deep dive into my party must-have number 1, how to tell a story with your theme. When your theme tells a story, like a witch's cursed apothecary, abandoned haunted carnival, or a dinner party for the dead, everything has a purpose. Props aren't just random spooky objects. The lighting, the sound, even the smells can deepen the illusion you're trying to create. Your guests don't just look at decorations, they get transported to another realm. Storytelling also makes your decorating choices easier. Instead of throwing everything spooky at the wall and hoping it sticks, ask yourself, does this fit the story I'm telling? That keeps everything looking cohesive and way more impressive. It takes it from, oh, that's cool, to, did you hire a party planner? Now, what do I mean by story, and how do you come up with one? I like to create a short story prompt and let that guide me. For example, if your theme is alien invasion, your story might be, the crash signal was received at 1:33 a.m., and that was the last time humans were ever alone on this planet. Camp slasher? They reopened the camp, but they never found the bodies from last time. Sinister circus. The ringmaster promised the greatest show on earth. What he delivered was a cursed act that spiraled into madness. The troupe vanished mid-performance, but if you're quiet enough, you can still hear their laughter echo throughout the tent. Masquerade ball. In 1789, a masquerade ball was held as a plague swept through the town. The guests kept dancing, drunk, on denial. They never left. They just decayed behind their masks. To create your own storyline, ask yourself these questions. Who lived or died here? Who are your main characters? A witch? A scientist? A cult? Is this space theirs or someone else's? What happened here and when? A ritual gone wrong? A possession? An escape? Are we seeing the moment before, during, or after the event? What's left behind? What props would exist after the event? Bloodstains? Broken tools? Is there anything we are not supposed to see? Maybe a hidden door or a room? Warning messages etched into mirrors. What emotions should the guests feel? Curious? Uneasy? Trapped? What role does the guest play? Are they intruding or investigating? Perhaps a message like, you shouldn't be here, but now that you are. What is your one unforgettable detail? This will become your must-have number 3, and will go in depth in later videos. But your theme and your storyline will help guide what you choose. Use these questions like prompts when planning your space. If the answer to one question doesn't excite you or disturb you, keep digging. Let me know your concept in the comments below, and I'll help you shape your narrative around it. Now that we have your storyline, let's talk about incorporating that story into your decor. Like we talked about in the last video, you have 3 main party zones: your entry zone, your photo op area, and your main party core area. Think like a Hollywood set designer. Use props as clues and layer these elements in multiple areas to add depth to your designs. You have to start with your entry zone. The second your guests walk into your house or your hallway, you're letting them know what kind of night you're going to have. Your entry zone is your chance to rip them out of the real world and into this haunted universe. Even if you have nothing else prepped inside, this zone makes them think you went all out. Nail this, and they'll be primed to think everything else is epic. Start by ditching your basic light bulbs. Swap them for red bulbs, purple floodlights, or flickering lanterns. Light pathways and highlight only the objects you want noticed. Shadows are your friend. A low-lying fog machine or even some dry ice in a cauldron instantly adds drama. Hang tattered curtains, scattered bones, or leave bloody footprints by the door. Add in some ambient music, creaking doors or distant screams, and you've built the suspense before your guests even ring the doorbell. A crash site entry for your neon alien invasion theme might have a DIY cardboard UFO crashed out on the front lawn with fog emerging from it, flashing warning signs, and maybe even some biohazard barrels. Your camp slasher entry might have aged wooden signs leading up to the steps, bloodstained sleeping bags, and backpacks strewn across the lawn. Next up is your photo zone. You don't need a full set for these photos. just a designated area that encompasses your theme. My formula is taking one wall, adding a statement backdrop, a few props that your guests can use in the photos, and make sure it's well lit from the front. And that's it. The goal is to make it easy and irresistible for your guests to take photos. For backdrops, think beyond the streamers. Use textured fabric, faux brick, vintage wallpaper rolls, or a black velvet curtain with spooky lighting. Amazon has a ton of fabric backdrop scenes you can purchase inexpensively. Just make sure to get one large enough for your group. Usually a 10 foot by 10 foot is big enough. Include 2 to 3 themed props your guests can hold and pose with. For example, a giant faux cleaver, masquerade masks, missing signs, vintage luggage, a cursed mirror. The weirder, the better. If you can, add a sign that matches your theme, like Camp Slasher 2025 or Unmask Yourself. If the room in your photo area is dark, make sure you have some lighting from the front so that people will be able to see themselves in the photos. Ring lights and clip-on colored bulbs work wonders. Add in a selfie stick or some Polaroid or disposable cameras and let your guests have fun. Your Sinister Circus photo op might have a circus tent backdrop with added red velvet curtains on the side and aged stuffed animals with their mouths sewn shut propped against the wall. For a masquerade ball, search on Craigslist or marketplaces for an antique velvet chair placed in front of a backdrop of a castle staircase. Add a cracked hand mirror or porcelain masks for guests to hold. Moving on to your main party zone. This is the heart of your Halloween bash. Your guests will spend most of their time here, eating, drinking, and hanging out, so it has to feel like the main event. Our goal is cohesion and not clutter. Every element should speak to your theme without turning your home into a spirit Halloween explosion. Here's how it should go. Start with a textured or patterned base. Velvet, lace, blood splatter plastic, whatever fits. And then layer in details. Torn book pages, fake moss, potion bottles, creepy dolls, candlesticks, or skulls. Vary the height by mixing taper candles with low trays or bowls. Add place cards or name tags if it's a sit-down vibe. If it's buffet style, group similar food and drinks in spooky clusters. Display them like a prop designer had a hand in it. Your bar or drink table should feel like part of the set and not an afterthought. Use apothecary jars, cauldrons, or decanters with creepy labels. Think witch's brew, vampire venom, or clown tears. Even if it's just punch and beer, how you serve it sets the tone. Add LED lighting underneath ice buckets or clear bottles for an eerie glow. I love these small, waterproof lights from Amazon. I use them everywhere in my decor. And bonus points for a smoking effect, like using dry ice or a hidden fog machine. Dry ice can be found at major grocery stores. Just make sure to use thick gloves or tongs when handling. You don't want to touch this stuff. Purchase it the day of your party and put it immediately in the freezer. It should last for at least 6 to 8 hours. And the easiest way of all to serve cocktails? Pre-batch them and give them a fun name, like Masquerade Mule or Camp Counselor Sangria. And somewhere in your main party area, incorporate one show-stopping centerpiece. This is going to be your conversation starter. A potion master's laboratory, a giant skeleton family, fresh from the grave, a dramatic floral arrangement with black roses and dripping candles, a dark castle photo collage wall, a cage with a clown head inside, or even a haunted mirror framed with a skeleton reaching out. This element gets your guests talking and mingling and warmed up for your main party event. Now, how do we tie all these together? You want your entry zone, your photo op, and your main party area to flow together and look like one party, and not just 3 separate Pinterest boards mashed together. The first way to do this is by choosing a core color palette. Pick a primary color palette or material set and use this repeatedly through your designs. Sinister Circus? I'm sure you can picture it already. Lots of red, black, gold, repeat stripes, velvet, and distressed wood. For a masquerade ball, deep jewel tones, black, gold, materials like lace, satin, and lots of candlelight. And I'm sure you can imagine the rest of the themes from here. My pro tip is to keep the same fonts, patterns, and textures throughout your signage, in your invites, your menus, and your labels. And this helps everything look professional. Never underestimate the power of lighting to help mesh these 3 zones together. This is one of the most overlooked design details. We are always keeping the big room lights off during your party. Use color-changing LEDs and spotlights to wash your walls in your core colors. Then add candles, lanterns, or string lights for for smaller detail. Don't clash your styles by having a neon entryway and a dark castle interior. Make sure your choices match your story. Here's an example of how lighting can completely change the vibe from basic photo collage to spooky mansion, or from DIY potion bottles to an ancient potion maker's laboratory. Never underestimate the power of sound to help tell your story. Every party is going to have a killer playlist, but you can also add in ambient sounds in your entryway and your photo op to help keep the vibe going. I do this by using hidden Bluetooth speakers to give each area its own sound. You can find lots of miniature Bluetooth speakers online. I collect them from events over the years, and then connect small devices like old iPads or tablets and play sounds from Spotify or YouTube videos. And lastly, use props, signs, or directional lighting to lead guests from one place to another. You want to think of your guests moving through the storyline, from your entryway to your photo op and then to your main party area. They will of course backtrack and mingle, but this flow helps tell your story. You can literally draw your guests down a path by using bloody footprints, rose petals, or glowing bones to guide them through. And your final tip is to think like a movie set designer. Your goal isn't just to decorate your space. Ask yourself, what would a movie set do to sell this world? Keep everything intentional and remove anything that doesn't match. Remember to incorporate sights, scents, sound, and mood. The last thing I want to touch on in this video is where exactly do you find all of this unique decor? I personally love a good DIY or thrift store flip. It not only makes your setup unique, it pulls you out of the trap of disposable trends and lets you create something personal, sustainable, unique, and oftentimes way cooler. Instead of feeding the demand for cheap, factory-made plastic that ends up in landfills by November, you're reusing, repurposing, and giving life to new items. It's creative rebellion against seasonal waste. And not to mention, it's super fun to spend time crafting and bringing your designs to life. The first thing to look at in thrift stores is your tableware. Plates, glasses, wine glasses, chargers, antique silverware, and serving dishes. I got nearly all of my Halloween tableware from thrift stores. Only a few select pieces like my Crate & Barrel spiderweb plates were bought new. Most of the silver pieces in these stores are in need of a good polish. This Wright's Silver Cream and Polish does a fabulous job and makes even the most aged silver look shiny and brand new. Also make sure to keep an eye out for candlesticks. Even if they're not your color, they can easily be spray painted to match your theme. Stores like Dollar Tree can also be great if you need items quickly or at a bargain. Store-bought decor can be leveled up in so many ways, by painting, adding texture with things like spray paint or baking soda, or using antiquing materials such as rub and buff. And don't be afraid to pair dollar store items with higher-end pieces from Pottery Barn or West Elm. They often blend seamlessly as long as they match the theme. Fabric stores are my favorite place to find low-cost tablecloths or custom curtains. Just buy a few yards of a creative lace pattern and use that on its own or over a brightly colored tablecloth. You can also find white cheesecloth by the yard at fabric stores at pretty affordable prices, and it can be easily dyed to whatever color you like. And that's how you tell a story with your Halloween party theme. Whether it's a circus that vanished mid-act, a masquerade where the guests are still trapped behind their masks, a late-night alien invasion, or a summer camp with a blood-soaked past, giving your space a storyline transforms it into an experience. It gives your guests something to feel, not just something to look at. Next up, we're taking it to the kitchen and creating some spooky food and drinks to go along with your Haunted Bash theme. I'll see you in the next one.